Hi, my name's Michael Hendrick, and I want to thank you for taking a moment to listen to what I have to say. I'm filled with gratitude for the opportunity to speak with you, to provide you with reassurance, to provide you with love, and to be someone that can lift the weight off your shoulders and open your heart to peace and gratitude. In November of 2024, I attended a metal rock concert with my friend. The concert took place in a church, and the acoustics in this building were built to support a choir without the use of an electronic amplifier. There were at least 4 extra large amplifiers in this church, and the concert rocked. But unfortunately, it also rocked my ears, and from there, my mind. The morning after this concert, I awoke to a feeling of pressure in both of my ears, and immediately my awareness was stuck on the pressure in my ears. I could not think of anything else other than this sudden change that I was experiencing within my physical body. It was very alarming and very scary. And the first thing that I did was went onto the internet to look up what was happening. Immediately, what I read was that I had likely suffered some injury to my ears, and that the symptoms of this included the pressure I was feeling. And then I was also introduced to the term tinnitus. The moment I read this information and was introduced to the concept or condition of tinnitus, I immediately began searching for this ring in my ears. I became obsessive over my ears, the pressure, and the search for the ring. And eventually I began to hear a ring, specifically about 10 to 12 days after the day of the concert. I went and got my hearing test at an audiologist clinic, at a hearing aid clinic. The hearing aid specialist confirmed that I had no hearing loss and that what I was likely experiencing was a manifestation of stress stemming from this rock concert. I felt very relieved after hearing that I had no hearing loss, and I felt that perhaps I was out of the weeds. I was safe. But this feeling of safety quickly disappeared as each night that I went to bed in my silent room, I would hear for the ringing. I would often go into rooms in my home. I would block my ears like this, and I would listen for the ringing to see if it was returning, if it was still there. And eventually, in this hyper-aware, hyper-alert state, I could keep hearing this, not really a ring, more so like a hiss, almost like you put a seashell up to your ear, and it's that sound of almost like a hiss. However, at night, I also started to experience like a buzzing, almost like cicada bugs. The internet confirmed that that was a symptom of tinnitus, and from there, I dove deeper into panic and this state of doom. That was the initial stage of my journey with tinnitus, and for the following year, I was trapped by it. It was in January of 2025, about 3 months after this experience, where I came across Julian on YouTube, actually recommended by a woman who was suffering from tinnitus, who posted a video and recommended Julian. So I began watching his videos and immediately began to feel that I was not alone and that there was a way out. What frustrated me the most was that the way out was not a simple way out, and perhaps there wasn't necessarily a black and white solution to this problem. To provide you with some context of my life, I'm a school teacher, and I have worked for the past 5 years in inner city schools in an urban environment in Canada. I work with children who carry a lot of trauma, post-traumatic stress, behavioral issues. The environment is very loud. It is a chaotic environment, and I was not conscious at the time that the effect my environment was having on my nervous system. During this initial stage of tinnitus and ear discomfort, I became very hyperfixated on the concert I went to as the source of my problems. My mind would say things like, "Oh, if only you hadn't gone to that concert, you would be fine. Your life is ruined now because you made one simple decision." I became very disconnected from the connection of all things in my life, and my mind, which was trying to fix things, thought very small. It didn't understand the foundation and the connection to facets in my life that were also contributing to this heightened nervous system state that put me into this hyperfixated state on my ears. So November 1st, 2024, I began my journey with tinnitus, and it took about a year before I began to somewhat settle. Let me correct that. It became a year before I realized that my issue with my ears, yes, might have been kind of triggered by that concert, but it was actually a result of years of stress that had gone unregulated. Let me explain the second half of my journey, which you can think of as the beginning was climbing up a mountain. I got to the peak, and then the descent. The descent reflecting my nervous system going from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic state. Around November of 2025, I began to understand how aspects of my life were contributing to my condition. I became more mindful that my diet, my sleep, my consumption of media was contributing to my lack of balance. In December of 2025, I made the decision to remove myself from my work environment, to go on stress leave, to take time to be with myself, to reinvigorate practices that I had conducted earlier in my life, such as yoga and meditation, things that I was incapable of doing during that time of immense fear. At those times, I would actually choose to distract myself rather than to go inwards because the pain and fear was too much. And I think that was at the time the appropriate step. But in December of 2025, I began practicing true wellness. I spoke with a naturopath who provided me some tips on some supplements I could take, such as omega-3s, magnesium. I remember reading about this earlier in my journey and getting frustrated because I thought, wow, I'm screwed if these are the things that are going to help me, because I didn't believe in it. But the supplements did help somewhat, but what really helped was removing myself from environments that were causing my stress. I continued to reestablish my meditation practice, sitting for 10 minutes twice a day, following my breath. And when I noticed fear arise in meditation, because obviously I would notice the ringing, I would honor the ringing. I realized that the ringing was actually a call for me to keep going into this wellness. Eventually, and you need to believe me, because I didn't believe people who said these things in videos either, eventually my awareness became unattached to the ringing in my ears. I began enjoying my life again. I began exercising, lifting weights regularly. I began connecting with people more, which brought me to the place I am in now, which is a place of deep gratitude and awareness that everything in my life has led me up to this moment now, including the concert that I went to. The concert that I went to and the struggles that I endured, at one point I thought was my doom, but it was actually a deep blessing. It forced me to make changes in my life that have propelled me into this place of mindfulness and love for myself and others. It has carved a space within me. It almost emptied me so that I could fill myself with empathy for others' suffering. And I want you to know that you are going to be okay. I want you to know that if you are suffering and scared, to honor this experience, because someday you will use this experience as a way to help others. Please understand that everything's going to be all right. Take things one day at a time. Put yourself in environments that bring you peace. Put yourself first, and then you will be able to put yourself out for others. Deep respect. Thank you, Julian. Peace.